Hey guys, I'm Kristen with ICStarsQuilting.com. Welcome to my channel. Today I am going to dive right into a tutorial for this handy little project. This right here is a bowl cozy, and it is a very simple, amazingly giftable, fun project to sew. And bonus, it's really easy, totally beginner friendly, and quick. What more could you ask for, right? I'm going to do a full tutorial on this right here for you today. I do want to say that you can do this without a template. I have a template right here, but you can do this without a template. I made several of these years ago before I had a template, and I just printed out something from some website online. I don't remember what it was, but I printed out and then I used tape to kind of tape the pages together. However, if you plan on making a bunch of these for gifts, you are definitely going to want to invest in the ruler. Now the template is pretty cool. It's by Creative Grids. There's a couple others out on the market, but I like the Creative Grids ruler one. And it has kind of like a little bit of a non-stick on one of the sides too, which is helpful when cutting. I don't know if you can see that. That's okay. But there's two different sizes that come with it. Okay. So they nest in each other, and that makes it really nice to store. And so you'll always have the pieces available. But, obviously this is the smaller one. This is the larger one. When you use the larger one, you don't worry about this hole right here. You just trace on the outer parts of it. And you can totally make this with scrap fabric as well if they are big enough. I'm going to show you how I make it really easy to cut. My favorite is to use fat quarters, okay? Just because I know that they're big enough and I can get a couple of the bowl cozies out of some fat quarters. So I picked 2 coordinating fat quarters. Okay, this one is like a kind of a tealish green color. You see the butterflies? There they are. See, it's got some cute little butterflies on it. And then this one is just a lavender that has some pretty little flowers on it too. So this is the 2 pieces that I'm using. In my example here, I have a lovely Harry Potter themed one on the outside and a green, very simple one on the outside. By the way, these are reversible, so when I'm saying cut fabric 1 and cut fabric 2, it doesn't really matter which one you deem as the inside and which one you deem as the outside, because these are reversible. Okay, now there's different ways that you can put these to use. You take a hot bowl out of the microwave, ta-da, you put it in here. It does not burn everything, so it's kind of like I wouldn't take something out of the oven and put it in this, okay? But it's just kind of like a hot pad, so you don't burn your hands while you're holding onto hot food or a hot glass dish, okay? One thing that is very, I want this to be very prominent in this video. This is very important. Cotton, 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 okay? That is the tools that you will be using for this project. Do not use cotton poly. Do not use polyester batting. Do not use cotton poly blend thread. Don't use anything with shimmers in it. Fabric that has glitter and stuff, don't use them. What happens to metal in the microwave? Anybody know? Big fires. We don't want that. You don't want to be the cause of that. These don't have to go in the microwave, but you, as the sewist, need to kind of figure out who you're giving this to and whether or not they would actually put it in the microwave. I completely failed my first session of high school chemistry. I'm not the one to tell you exactly why that you can't use those things. I just know bad things happen if it is not cotton. So if you have an experience with that, put it down in the comments below. Enlighten the rest of us on what happens if you accidentally use cotton poly thread or if you use polyester batting. Polyester is extremely flammable. I'm just gonna go with, yeah, don't use that, okay? I know it's just better to use cotton. Okay, moving on to what you need to make these bowl cozies. First thing you're going to need is fabric. I have 2 different fabrics here that I am planning to use. I use fat quarters for this. You can use scrap fabric. You can use fabric that you have like Franken stitched together and made it very colorful. You can put stripes in it. You can do all of these fun things with it. We're going to keep it simple for this tutorial, okay? I'm going to use one for the outside and one for the inside. It doesn't really matter which one you pick for the outside and which one you pick for the inside, because this bowl is reversible. See? So, ta-da! You can put whatever you want wherever you want it, okay? Then you are going to want to use some cotton batting, okay? Cotton batting. Why? Because we already had that discussion. So I like to save my batting scraps for this project. This is one that I have left over. I put one that I've already cut out on this side. I'm going to use the next side to cut out my other piece, and I'll show you how to line that up on the cutting mat in just a minute. Another thing you're going to want to use today is your rotary cutter. Make sure it's nice and sharp because you are going to be cutting through at least 4 layers of fabric today. That's a 4 layers of fabric today. And then you're going to want to use your sewing machine as well, okay? We're going to go step by step. You are welcome to use the timestamps that are mentioned in the description of this video. There's different spots in this tutorial. If you need to go back and rewatch something, make sure you look at the timestamps down below and figure out which spot you need to rewatch. But this tutorial is very beginner friendly. It is very forgiving, and it's really fun to make and to get something that is handmade and easily. You can make several of these in an afternoon, and they make amazing gifts. These can also be modified any way that you want, but I suggest doing one with me the way that I am going to teach you, and then you can modify this however you want. I've seen people use these as cute little lunch bags and the like with some ribbon and things in them, but we're going to keep it plain and simple and do just a regular bowl cozy today. So let's go over to the cutting mat and I'll show you the simple way to cut out the pieces and make it easy peasy. Hey, while you're getting your tools together for this, let me ask you one thing. Have you subscribed to my channel? If you haven't, I would love to have you here. I would love to be one of your friends and the people that you watch on YouTube. I love to make it easy for you. I love to figure things out, figure out how not to do it, how to do it, and then come back and teach you and show you how to do it. Please be sure to give this video a thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel. Pretty please, I appreciate it. If you look at your template right here along this edge and this edge, it says folded edge, okay? Now this is a little bit overkill, and I know some of you are a little bit shocked at the level of fabric I'm wasting, so I'll move that down a little bit. And my fabric is just folded into 4s, so I folded it in half this way, make sure there's no extra folds in there, and then I folded it this way. And I want to make sure that my folded edge and my folded edge are put into this corner right here. And then I'm going to cut around all of the pieces here. I'm not going to cut on the fold edge, and you'll see why in just a minute, okay? And so this, it actually gives you instructions here. This is an 11-inch cotton fabric squares and 11-inch cotton batting squares. If you were to purchase the batting cut separately at your local quilt shop, that is what you would purchase as the 11-inch ones, okay? For this particular template. There are templates in different sizes, but that's what I would purchase if I wasn't cutting my own batting. The batting squares make it really, really nice and easy to have them already pre-cut, okay? So I'm just going around my template, trying to cut nice and slow and steady. Seems I might need to be changing my rotary blade soon. One spot left. And that's why at the beginning I said to cut with a nice sharp rotary blade, because you are cutting through 4 layers of fabric. So if I remove my template, this is what I'm going to get. This nice big flowery shape that makes up 4 of my small bowl cozy template, right? Like that. So it makes up 4 of them. So that's why you need 2 different fabrics. You need one for the outside and one for the inside. I'm going to do the same thing with this fabric right here, and then I'm going to do the same thing with my batting scraps. With this one, I don't have quite enough of my batting scraps here to be able to fold it into 4s to make it quite big enough. So what I did was I cut this long skinny piece in half, and I am going to go and zigzag stitch this on my sewing machine real quick and make some FrankenBatting, because nobody's going to see the batting inside these. You're never going to know that it was actually 2 pieces and I just made it work. All right, there you go. Do you see that nice little line down the middle? That is FrankenBatting, which just means we sewed 2 pieces together. Here's the back. There is a little bit extra right there on the back, but I'm not going to worry about that. I'm going to try and get most of my cuts from this side. Fold that over right there. And then, so that this seam is not down the exact center of my piece, I'm just going to fold it a little bit shy of my FrankenBatting piece right there. Okay, and see, this still fits in there really nice and easy. And the only place that that FrankenBatting is going to be there is across this right here. And it's only going to be across a couple pieces. So I'm going to cut this out. Still being nice and frugal with my scraps here. So now we have, this is all done, and right here is where I sewed that seam together. You'll never, ever, ever know it was there, except you know which fabrics I choose for the outside, so maybe you'd be able to find it if you happen to run across my bowl someday, okay? So that's all you need the template for. You can set that aside, and then you're going to take your 2 outside pieces, or the pretty fabrics if you want to call them that, and they're going to go right on top. This is extremely forgiving project, okay? So, you know, you can kind of rake your fingers across it, get it as lined up and these little points right here as you can. You know, I ironed these fat quarters beforehand, but you want to do it as evenly as possible, but it doesn't have to be perfect, okay? So know that going in, it doesn't have to be perfect, but try and get it as even as possible, just because you'll be happier with yourself in the end if you do. And I kind of like to just rake my nails across it to make sure that it gets nice and spread out. And then I'm going to grab a couple pins and I'm going to put them in a couple spots on here so that this will stay where I want it to stay. Quick chat while I am doing what I'm doing over on that video, okay? What I'm doing right now is essentially, as a quilter, I am basting my piece so that it doesn't shift around very much on my batting while I am doing the quilting part of it. You want to make sure that these stay together, okay? Just trust me on this. You can go and be as fancy and amazing as you want on the quilting part of this, okay? This is my quilter's magic wand. It's just a nice skinny ruler that makes things very simple to use. This right here is my Frixion pen. I absolutely love this pen. It erases with heat, so it is great for marking your fabrics where you want to quilt them. If you want to do swirls and curls and all that, it's great. But you want to make sure that you baste enough to where these edges are going to pretty much stay put. I told you it's very forgiving. You don't have to have it exact, but try and keep these little V parts, okay? So the quilting lines that I'm doing go from V to V on both sides, and then they go from the tippy top corner of this curve all the way down. So I did 2 X's, okay? That's all the quilting that it needs. If you want to do more, you can do more, but I wouldn't recommend less. It could probably work, but you don't have to. Okay, so let's keep this easy. Next step is we're going to take our pieces and we're going to go over to the sewing machine with them. I am going to stitch on the lines that I just drew, and then I'm going to hit it with the iron to make all those lines disappear like they were never even there. Whoops, I forgot to take it off the zigzag stitch. Hold on. Actually, I was thinking while I was working on the other one that there is no reason that I actually couldn't use a zigzag stitch. It just wasn't what I was thinking of at the moment. So I'm going to add a zigzag stitch to this one and make it a pretty big wide one. Just for giggles. Let's see how it turns out. Here is the finished sewing piece here. You can see I got a little bit off my line right there. It doesn't really matter. We're going to hit it with this iron right here and line, no line, line, no line. Amazing, isn't it? I love these Frixion markers. Actually, Frixion pens, I guess. They have Frixion markers too, but all I'm doing is just hitting it really quickly with my iron to erase those lines. And ta-da, all done. This is what the other one looks like. Remember when I said, hey, why haven't I done zigzags before? Sure, we could do decorative stitches on this. There's no reason why it wouldn't work, right? Yeah. Decorative stitches, such as this very nice, cute, tight zigzag. It's adorable. I love it. But the reason why I love these projects is they're so easy. They're so fast. They're just like, they come together so quickly. And you know what? That took away the quickness. I felt like I was sitting there waiting forever for that zigzag to stitch. So go ahead, be cute, have fun with it, do amazing things. Just know that the straight line that I used over in this one is way so much faster than the zigzag line that I used on this one. The next step that we're going to do is we're going to take our pieces one at a time. It's just one layer of batting, one layer of fabric, nothing else. And I'm going to match up my darts. So I'm going to do pretty sides together. right here, I don't have to worry about pinning it, okay? You don't have to worry about pinning it. So you're going to do pretty sides together, and you'll be able to do 2 darts at a time, okay? So this side, then we'll open it up, flatten it the other way, and do those 2. Now, I am going to sew, I use the edge of my foot here as a guide. Let me bring you in a little bit closer so you can see. I use the edge of my foot as a guide. It's a little over 1/4 of an inch, but as long as they're all even, you'll be fine. And if you want to use your walking foot, this is a good spot to use your walking foot. If you feel it kind of lagging and you're getting some weird stitches on here, pull out your walking foot and use that. If you don't have a walking foot, you'll probably still be fine on this part, okay? So we're going to do this on all 4 sides of both of our pieces. And this is why, that's why I need to leave it off of the zigzag stitch. There we go. And one thing that you want to make sure that you do is you want to make sure that you back stitch at this part right here, which is the base of the V, okay? The very base of the V. Back stitch there. You don't have to back stitch up here because this will be caught in the top, but make sure that you back stitch at that V. Now we have 2 sides done, and it's kind of starting to make a bowl-ish shape, right? So now you're going to fold it in half the other way, pretty sides together, and you're going to stitch down here, remembering to back stitch at the very base of the V. right. Okay, here we go. We have the makings of a 3D bowl. Look at that. Isn't that fun? That's so fun. I love that. Okay, now I'm going to pick up my other piece and I'm going to do the same thing. Putting the pretty side together and stitching those darts closed, okay? Just remember to make them all even. They don't have to be perfect. This is forgiving. Remember, this is forgiving. And it doesn't matter if you start at the top of the V or at the base of the V. Just make sure you back stitch at the base and then do whatever else feels good. Opening it up, we've got two sides done. We're going to fold it in half, matching up those V's, put it through again. Can I just say, do you love how this is coming together so nicely and so quickly? Okay, check your seams. Make sure that you got all of your pieces of fabric in there. And ta-da! We have another 3D object that we've made. Okay, now here comes the fun part. We are going to join these two pieces together. It doesn't matter which one you have here and which one you have here. What you want to do is you want to line them up pretty sides together. So the batting is on the outside right now of both pieces, okay? And you want to line them up evenly, okay? So where there is a hump, make sure there's a hump. And then where there is a dip in that flower shape right there into a different petal or whatever this piece is right here, you want those to match up. I like to put a pin on either side of these seams right here, because this is really what is going to make or break whether it looks like it was actually professionally like done and finished or not. Okay, you want that to line up because it's just going to make things look nicer, and we'll worry about like the bottom part later on. Okay, so you want to make sure that your sides are lined up. Put a pin on either side of that, and there's not really any magic or science to it. And then I'm going back in to the middle, and I'm going to add a pin in the middle just to make sure that things are evenly spread right there. Okay, and then we're going to do that to all sides of it. Once you've got all 4 sides done there, it's time to take it back to the sewing machine, and we're just going to sew a little over 1/4 of an inch all the way around. I find it's best when you get to the dip areas right here, if you take your machine, sew all the way over, then lift up your presser foot, pivot, and do the next hump. So you will actually pivot on the 4 sides, okay? And I'll go over that at the sewing machine with you too, so that you can see that. Just keep that in mind, is that's what we're doing when we're watching this part, okay? One last thing that I almost forgot to tell you. Where I'm going to start on this project is, see this hump right here? I am going to start about here on it, kind of like middle of the hump, and then I'm going to go all the way around, and I'm going to stop about where this unicorn is, okay? That's going to leave this area right here open. That is the easiest spot to hand stitch this closed when we're done with it, and we're gonna have to turn everything right side out, and that's how we're gonna do it, okay? So just know that in advance. We're gonna leave this part open, and I'm gonna start about where this unicorn is. Now that I've hit my first corner here, I'm going to tell you, it's really easy to nest your seams, okay? Which means you take this top seam here and this bottom seam here, and you make them go different ways, okay? That's going to keep that seam in place right there, okay? You can kind of wiggle it with your fingers and it stays put. Much nicer if you have one seam going that way and the other back seam going this way, okay? Doesn't matter which way they go, just make them go differently. And then once you sew over it, it'll be really nice and flat. Now I'm going to lift my foot up with my needle down, and I'm just gonna pivot my piece, and then I'm gonna keep stitching. Here's the pivot one more time. Let me get my unicorn out of the way. Lift up the foot. The needle is down. And turn it just slightly. And go again. And whenever I come to the pin, it's very easy to pull out and keep things in place. If you've ever made a lined tote bag, the concept is very much the same. And as this is going around, I am using my left hand to just kind of gently push the material inside of a curve. also keeping an eye on where my start point is, okay? So this is my last unicorn that I'm going to sew to in my last corner, and then we are almost done, friends, almost done. Back stitched right there because that's my last spot, and I also did a little bit of a back stitch at the front here just to give that a little bit more strength. And then I'm going to cut, and there it is. Okay, done with the pins right now. Watch this. You're going to start opening this up. Takes a little bit of finesse, a little bit of fidgeting, but there's really nothing you can do wrong here except pop a seam. So that's why we enforced those seams in the very beginning there by back stitching. And as you can see, I've just got it open with my 2 middle fingers right there, and I'm just shoving it in. Now you can come on this side and start unfolding it and start pulling it, but you're going to turn this whole thing inside out. And you'll get the hang of it. It's really easy. And then you're going to put your fingers inside it, and you're just going to kind of start moving your hands along that seam. I just realized this is like Little Mermaid colors. Wasn't going for that, but it certainly is. So you're going to start going along that seam and pushing it out. Okay, that's going to help form these nice round things that we did, and right here where we pivoted, that's going to be nice and easy too. Okay, so form those cute little flower hills, mountains, whatever you want to call them, right? And then you decide which one you want to be your outside in presenting it and which one you want to be the inside in presenting it. So I think I am going to do, we'll fix this in just a minute. Purple on the outside. It doesn't really matter. It's reversible. But in looking at it and kind of perfecting these little pieces here, you're going to want to make it pretty. And this is where you can see this little part right here. That's where that dart ends, and that is your corners of your piece. So you get a square bottom. Helps it sit nice and flat on the table. And you're pretty much done. What you have to do next is put this together, and with a needle and thread, you can do a ladder stitch right here. That's a hidden seam. You can tuck those sides in where they're supposed to be. Slip a pin in it and top stitch all the way around. I did do top stitching on my other bowl, which is already back in my house holding my keys and stuff. But you can top stitch around this just to keep this seam where it's supposed to be, where it'll stay. You could do a decorative stitch there. You could go and do some hand embroidery there. Okay, that's just going to keep this from getting kind of rolly over time, okay, because it can get flattened like that. So I'm going to do a quick top stitch around this, but personally I'm feeling like a hand stitch is the best way to go here. Here are my top 3 tips for this project, okay? Number 1, don't take yourself too seriously. This is easy, this is fun, this is meant to be quick, and it is a really, really good palette cleanser if you're in the middle of sewing all of these projects and you just want a quick win, okay? Number 2, these are amazing gifts. If you are going to make one of these, go ahead and make 3 of them, okay? They're really good, quick gifts. So batch sewing is what I highly, highly recommend when you're working on these. Batch sewing and batch projects mean if I am going to spend time cutting out one of these, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to have my other fabric lined up on my cutting table so that I can go ahead and cut out all those pieces. When I'm quilting and I'm doing the straight stitches on there or the zigzag stitches, whichever way you go, I'm going to make sure and I am going to stitch all of them at the same time. I'm going to cut all my batting pieces at the same time. And then I'm going to do all the sewing parts at the same time too, because you don't have to retrain your brain, and it kind of becomes mindless. It becomes a little bit meditative, and it becomes a whole lot of fun to just finish all 3 of them at once, okay? Or finish all 9 of them, or 27 of them, however many you want to make, okay? And my third tip on this is if you have a local quilt shop, go to the quilt shop and ask if they have bowl cozy batting templates. Did I say that right? Bowl cozy batting templates. Yeah, bowl cozy batting templates. I've been saying that wrong in my head all day today. So go and ask if they have bowl cozy batting templates. So they have them pre-cut. Okay, that way you don't have to cut through the 4 layers of batting. I don't know if you saw me in the cutting part, but I was struggling a little bit with my rotary cutter to cut through all 4 layers. I had to kind of go back and check and hit those last little bits that didn't get quite cut because that was a lot for my rotary cutter. And also it just makes it all the more faster, okay? So go look for bowl cozy batting templates and that'll help you get the job done even faster. All right, that's it for today. I hope that you absolutely loved sewing that with me. I love bowl cozies. They're so fun, and it makes me happy when I sew them. I don't know why. It does, because it comes together so quickly. I guess I get used to sewing quilts all the time, and I just think, okay, so this is going to be a really long project, and that's cool because I love it and I love what I'm doing. But when I can finish several bowl cozies in an afternoon, it's energizing. I love it. So I have the links to everything that I talked about in the video and the different tools down in the description box down below. Make sure that you check those out. I love having that template. It makes things easy when you're sewing a bunch of them at a time, and it just keeps things very much the same. If you have any other questions, make sure you leave them in the comment section down below, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you so much for watching this video. I appreciate you, and I appreciate your support on my YouTube channel. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you next week. I'm Kristen with ICStarsQuilting.com. Have a great weekend. Bye.